Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the H-Town Heel Show for our third series recap of the year. The Astros, unfortunately, lose the series where they scored a lot of runs, but pitching kind of let them down a little bit to the Sacramento Athletics, formerly known as Oakland Athletics, futurely known as the Las Vegas somethings or Athletics, But just a couple housekeeping things first is right before we started filming, Roddery Munoz was DFA'd by the team. He will go through outright waivers and then probably be sent back to Cincinnati. And we'll get to him in a little bit, but he just did not. He didn't do good here, to say the least. He was an Astro for and only the regular season for like a week and a half. It's safe to say that. I'm glad that that experiment is over.
Yeah, that was just horrific what Munoz did. I mean, literally, he was serving out nice cookies to the Athletics. Nice for him to, help them get their stats up a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Munoz is no longer an Astro, and then another housekeeping thing is unfortunately Hunter Brown has gone on the IL with shoulder soreness or inflammation, which is never a good sign. Because if you saw that notification last year from the Astros medical staff, you're never seeing them again. Like never seeing them again. So we don't know what grade of a strain it is, if it's grade 1, grade 2, but Dana Brown on Houston sports radio said he's not too concerned. He thinks he'll be fine, but it's probably going to be another month and a half before we see Hunter Brown throw a game. He's probably going to be shut down for 2 weeks, going to be reevaluated. He's going to have to get back up to speed, throw a rehab start, and that's at least a month and a half right there. So probably not till mid to late May, early June is when we'll see Hunter Brown if everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is we'll eventually see him again, and hopefully it's not too long. It didn't sound like it was major. But you're right, it could turn into like a serious thing, but hopefully it's not. And if anything, it opens up the door for someone else to step up and do it. And one of those options was called up in game three, who we'll talk about.
All right. So, game one of the series, this game was a blowout. It was final score 11-4. It was Jeffrey Springs versus Christian Javier, and Christian Javier did not look good. It's been a really rough going for Christian Javier to start the season. He only goes 3.2 innings, allows 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and 5 walks, which is something you definitely don't want to see from him. And this is just, I feel like they there's just so many guys out in Sugarland who could potentially step up for him, guys in the bullpen who could do that. So I think the Astros give him 1 or 2 more starts just to see where he's at. What would you say kind of his leash is at, heel?
I say you give him one more start, and at that point, you have the serious discussion of either A, put him in the bullpen, and then call up maybe Arrighetti, or you just flat out trade him.
No
Because
one's gonna want his contract.
I mean, someone might, there's always a team out there that has that mindset of like, almost like that girl in high school. We can change him. So, maybe the Marlins might want him. You never know. Someone's might want him for some kind of bullpen piece or whatever. And you know, it's just you can't go out there and lay that big of an egg, especially when you're against a division rival. Like it's just I just don't know what happened to him. At one point we were talking about like one of the guys that was like underrated, really dominant, and then now he can't seem to find his way with anything. And I'm sorry, I don't know about anyone else, but I can't just watch like one more game where this guy goes out, and then in like 3 or 4 innings, it's another like 6 run ball game. Like, yeah, we have a great offense, we do, but it's not like they can come back from like 6 or 5 runs every single game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We'll see how far he goes in his next start, but his velo's down, the control is not there. He's walking guys left and right, getting in high traffic innings, just not putting the ball in play. And he didn't really get much help from the defense either. Even though he did put a lot of runs on base, there was a pop up that could have potentially gotten him lessen the damage a little bit than it already was going to be. But Yainer Diaz misses a routine pop up, and that just opens the floodgates for Oakland. You know, they go up 4-0, and then after that, you put in Roddery Munoz into the game, who we talked about is no longer on the team. He did terrible. Just immediately Lawrence Butler homers, Max Muncy. It was just such a terrible outing. And by that point in the game, the Astros are like, we're punting. Altuve came out of the lineup. Jordan came out of the lineup. It just it wasn't it was pretty much over before it even started.
Yeah, that's funny that we're talking about Javier doing bad, and then Munoz did the whole meme of like, hold my beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do want to see a bright spot, Ryan Weiss, he came in, he threw three scoreless innings with two strikeouts. He's been really good out of the pen. Same thing with Kyle Tang. He didn't pitch this game, but he is also doing pretty good as well, you know. But there's not really much else to highlight from this game. It was just a blowout, you know. Can't really say much about it.
Yeah, I remember just talking to the chat and being like, I don't blame you guys for going to bed now. And as for me myself, I pretty much turned the game off, and I was like, you know what? Because I believe this game started around 8:40 my time, something like that, 9:40 your time, and I go to bed by like 11ish or so. So I turned the laptop this way and played a little bit of video games or whatever, and by the time I hit 11:30, I was like, yep, let's get ready for bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I checked the score
Yeah.
in the morning.
Nick Allen, he had two hits in the game. He, like you talked about off air, he's looked pretty decent as a little replacement off the bench utility guy, you know.
Yeah, I know even I was a little bit, speculative of like trading Nick Allen for Dubon. I understand the budget
Or other
cuts.
way around.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. Trading Dubon for Nick Allen, and obviously I was excited for Luperfido coming here for Jesus Sanchez. Because like I was like, I know Luperfido can do what Sanchez does, you know, yeah, at a cheaper cost, and some people actually obviously because Luperfido was actually loved. He was one of the people that we traded, and we were like, okay, why? And granted, it's not like he hit a really high ceiling with the Blue Jays, but you're seeing what he actually can do, and that is one of the bright side of this whole entire series is like those bench guys are actually showing that they are actually a lot more than what they seem.
Yeah, Christian Vasquez, you know, he's looked really good off the bench. Some people are even saying he should start. We'll not jump there just completely yet, but he's looked pretty good. Nick Allen, Bryce Matthews, he showed some good defensive versatility. Being a bench guy, he's still pretty raw in my opinion, so he needs more time to develop. But yeah, I mean, and rotating guys in and out, just different lineups. It looks good.
I'll say this. If Vasquez outshines Yanir against the Rockies and they're given almost the equal amount of at bats, then we got a conversation.
Yeah, at that point, I might go 60-40 Vasquez to Yiner.
Yeah.
All right, so Astros get blown out in game one. As we move on to game two, the Astros come back and absolutely dominate the A's. 11-0 on Saturday, I believe that was Saturday's game. Yep. Astros offense was firing on all cylinders. 18 hits, 11 runs. They also set the record for the new franchise record for most men left on base in a game at 17, even though they still won 11-0, which is interesting.
Yeah, this was like a complete like flip from the other game. It was like, okay, so now, this is great. The offense, pitching, everything is bad. Maybe it was just Javier's fault, you know? And
And
Ron,
Munoz, can't forget
yeah,
Munoz.
yeah, Munoz. But people, I want to forget about him though. Like, just terrible. Uh, like Javier has like he has at least one excuse, and that's that he pitched multiple innings. Munoz has no excuse. Uh, but we just came in there and we actually like just stomped on the Athletics. We made them look like kids play. It was just like a complete 180, as they say, from yesterday's game. And I was like, okay, this is like really cool to see. I'm like, maybe the next, game is gonna be, you know, winnable. Because like the Athletics, they've been playing bad. Maybe like hopefully it was just the fact that Javier's digressed that much.
And that win came at the helm of Tatsuya Imai in his second start, who was dominant. He had 5.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, lowering his ERA to the low fours. He just looks so much more comfortable out there that go around his changeup splitter. All the pitches were working for him. The A's had no answer for him. And hopefully just we can continue to see him get more and more settled as the time goes on and have a another steady piece to the rotation in Hunter Brown's absence.
Yeah, for real. This was definitely in my eyes coming out game as far as like what he can do. The fact that that athletics team had no answer for what he did, and they're a really good team. Like, make no mistake about it. They may be struggling, but like they have some players that can bop in there. Like, this is a team that could compete and get a wild card spot or anything or just flat out make the playoffs. I don't want to say they can win the division, although I think with enough trades, they could compete with us win the division. If I'm being honest, but yeah, they do have a really good lineup. For being honest,
Kind of going over the offense, this was the Christian Walker legacy game. Christian Walker has just looked completely different from last year. He's being patient. Not that he was patient last year, he just wasn't catching up to the ball. He changed up his swing, he lost weight, and now he looks like we said earlier, a man on a mission, and he is just crushing it right now. Yeah, he had a single home run, 3 hits in the game, had 2 RBIs, and at the end of this game, he has an OPS over 1,000. Just love to see it. Love to see it from Christian Walker.
yeah, I would have to look up other first basemen, but I think he might arguably even be the best first baseman in baseball right now when it comes to defense and offense. I'm not sure, obviously too early in the season, but as of this moment, he might arguably be the best first baseman in baseball. And by the way, only like
And
20 mil.
yeah, now the
Yeah.
contract's a steal.
Yeah.
So now Joey Loperfido had a 3 hit game. He's continued to be very good. I think he deserves more starting spots. I feel like him being in there, the Astros' main concern with him is obviously versus lefties, but he's looked good against them, and I think he's going to get more going as he continues his hot streak. Uh, Vasquez with a double. Diaz Diaz had a 3 hit game today,
He did?
which he had a 3 hit game that day, and he got his average up to 296 on the year at the end of this game. But do you want to know the thing? According to Baseball Savant, he has barreled 0 baseballs. He
Oh.
has not he has not barreled 1 ball, which is very concerning.
Hey, a hit's a hit.
Christian Vasquez was starting as Diaz was DHing, Vasquez was catching, and Vasquez, he had another double. That double was kind of, there was a misplay out there, but it was really good. Alvarez, the A's kind of went with a similar approach as the Angels, as just we're not going to pitch to Jordan. He had 4 walks in this game, and then in his fifth at bat, when he finally got something to hit, he hit a RBI single. Jordan is just amazing, and just so glad he's healthy.
Yeah, and when that sad day comes and Altuve retires, this is gonna be your Don's team. Yeah, because like I think we got to realize like Jordan's only like 27, 28.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
bros, he's in his prime. He's in his prime right now.
yeah, like dude is a freaking monster.
Yeah, you just don't. Teams do not want to pitch to him. And it's kind of sad because I'm like, I want to see him hit some bombs, and the team's just not going to pitch to him if they're just going to keep walking him.
Yeah, and what I love about Jordan is he's a lefty that's better against lefties, and that's the crazy part about him.
Like guys like him and Kyle Schwarber just are lefties who hit lefties better than they do righties.
Yeah. So, and it's starting to get around the league. Like, you know what? If we're just gonna go lefty and lefty on him, just walk him. Because, like, at that point, he's just gonna get hit a massive home run. Oh, imagine him and Schwarber in that All Star home run derby off. To like see who wins at the end of the game. That would be so fun to watch.
That would be peak. That would be
Yeah,
peak home run derby.
yeah,
But Jordan, he's never done the home run derby. I feel like he's been invited, but he's either been hurt or he's declined. So
yeah,
maybe he'll do it this year. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. I wouldn't mind.
Speaking of home runs, Cam Smith also hit a home run. He's been getting it going as well. Just compared to last year, he's being way more patient and selective at the plate. He's definitely coming into his own as a professional, getting it more adjusted to major league ball. And yeah, it's just really, really nice to see from Cam Smith. I'm really high on him that he's going to have a breakout year this year.
Yeah, same here. Especially defensively. Like, I
He's a
mean,
gazelle out there.
yes, like, dude is just amazing out there. You know what he kind of reminds me of with his long struts? Hunter
Oh,
Pence.
mm, nice
Yeah,
deep pull there.
yeah. When he starts like strutting with the for the ball and all that, it kind of reminds me of Hunter Pence a little bit.
Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
Um, After Imai went in, Kaiwei Tang came in through 2.1 innings, 3 punch outs, no walks. Kaiwei Tang, I'm like, I feel like the Astros found something in Kaiwei Tang. Like when I saw him and I looked at his stats, I'm like, the stuff was like there. You could see how they would try and fix it with him compared to a guy like Munoz, who I'm like, I feel like the Astros are just like, we'll take a flyer on him, see what we can do. But Tang, the underlying stuff was there, and he's definitely been fine tuning it with the pitching staff, and he's looked really good out of the bullpen.
AB Tang starts closing.
I feel
Yeah.
like anyone could start closing at this point. We'll talk about that in the next.
Yeah.
Uh, Steven Oker came in, clean inning, one strikeout. Astros win 11-0 on Saturday, and we're flying high. Vibes are back up. It was just a fluke. The Astros offense is still good.
Right.
And we get to Easter Sunday's game, which was an absolute dogfight. Probably one of the most entertaining games I've seen the Astros play in a couple years now. Very, very fun game to watch. Very frustrating, but very fun. Even though it didn't end how the Astros wanted it to. I'm like you said in your series prediction, you said if we're going to see if the Astros are on brand in this series or not. I think they broke it because if this was truly on brand, the Astros would have scored like 6 runs this series. They scored 30.
That is true. You, and again, I hate to sound like the like like that type of person, But again, a person can argue we just lost this series because of Javier. Um, and that might be a little bit too mean or whatever, but it's just true. You know.
Yeah, getting into this game, it was who started? It was Lance McCullers. He he looked okay for his first like 3.5 innings, but then in the fourth inning he ran into traffic. He got pulled from the game. It's nothing too crazy. He looked good through the first couple of little bits, but he got pulled. Final stat line was 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. He started losing control at the end. He had 3 walks. Um, but after he was pulled, it kind of just began to unravel. The A's just kind of just gained a lot of momentum. Um, a lot of hits. The Astros really could not buy an out if they wanted to because the A's just went on a crazy scoring run. And then a play I want to talk about that you could also agree potentially lost the Astros the series was on the flyout that Jake Myers was going for. He lets the ball drop right by him, similar to Yainer Diaz's out miscatch in the first game. And you could argue those two plays right there kind of lost you the series.
Yeah, this series as a whole was a roller coaster ride, and by the end of it, you kind of just wanted off because this series was just really, really frustrating. Because at first you lose the first game by a blowout, and then you show hope again. Then you go into this series, and L&J does what a starter's supposed to. That's a good start. 3 runs, 5 innings pitch, and then everything just seems to go like wrong for the most part, and you're just like, I mean, you got to give credit to the Athletics hitting first off. I mean, you had to make contact with the ball at the end of the day, but at the same time, you're kind of just like everything could have been solved with like easy things. Like we said off air, Jake Myers with the sunglasses, just simple sunglasses. That's it, in a day game. And then also, just simple, making plays. This team, position by position, is great defensively, and you choose this game specifically where your offense, you know, scores 10 runs, if I remember correctly, and they just let the pretty much because that era by Jake Myers, I think, scored 3 runs. I think you pretty much let pretty much gift drafted this game to the Athletics, um, and this game should have never gone to extras at all.
Yeah. Speaking of the offense, they also, like you said, they went off today. Um, Alvarez and they crushed a home run to open the scoring for them. He's so good. Like we said, he's so good. Cam Smith getting hits. He's looked really, like we said, he continues to improve. Christian Walker continues to rake. He hit his second home run of the year, tied the game at 5. And then the scoring floodgate happens. The Athletics go up 9-5. And at that point, I was getting really frustrated. I was about to turn the game off, but I'm like, I felt something. I'm like, don't turn it off yet. I felt like they could do something. And then we go to the 8th after Jake Myers, he made that bad play. He hits a tank. He hits a home run for his first home run of the year. A couple walks. Altuve doubles, makes it 7-9. You're like, okay, they're cooking here. Um, and then Jordan Alvarez pops out. Christian Walker pops out, and now you're all of a sudden you have 2 outs with bases loaded, and Cam Smith comes up to the plate. He looked locked in. He said, I'm gonna get on top of the ball. I'm gonna drive the ball. He works the count, he's selective, and he hits a single to score 2 runs and tie the game. That's what you want to see from Cam Smith in this year two development.
Yeah, it- yeah, and props to Cam Smith. He looks like he's getting better and better at hitting every single day. Um, and and as for Jordan hitting home run, so- I'm shocked.
Yeah. We're shocked. We're shocked, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but like again, man, and I'll just say this in general. It seems like no one could pitch today. Besides,
Mm-mm.
like, yeah,
AJ Bluebaugh, AJ Bluebaugh, who's looked really good to this point in the year. He got lit up for 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and only 1 strikeout. So hopefully it was just a bloop day. We'll see. The pitching in Hunter Brown's absence really needs to step up because if this offense is gonna like last year, we're like if the Astros can score 3 runs, 4 runs, they'll be in it. And now it's like if the pitching can only allow 3 or 4 runs, the scripts are flipped from last year
yeah,
because
exactly.
now the offense is really good and the pitching is
Yeah, exactly. And that goes for the athletic side too, because like I think the starter in this game was Jacob Lopez for the Athletics.
yes,
I think even he did a solid job coming out with I think he matched Lance McCullers stats pretty much like round
pretty
four.
much exactly.
Yeah. So I think the starters did okay for the most part. Heck, even some bullpen options were fine. But then at some point in the game, it was just like both sides on the hitting, the Athletics and the Astros are like, oh, you did this, now I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, now
Hmm.
you're gonna do this. And I'll give the Astros this. Like you said, at one point we were down by how much?
Down by like 4 or 5 runs.
Yeah, and I had like almost the same thought. I was like, there's no point in paying attention to this game anymore. Like we probably just lost it. And they came back by that many runs, and I was just like, wow.
That to
If we
me that
Yeah.
that to me said that this offense is different. This is a different team approach wise compared to last year. In my opinion, this offense is legit. I don't think it's a fluke. I think yeah, they looked really bad in those first 2 games against the Angels, but the flip is switched, approach switched. It looks. I'm gonna say it's good until otherwise.
Yeah, and Altuve's being more patient, which helps too. Um, I like we're exactly doing that. We're doing exactly what past Astros teams couldn't, which is, you know, get more guys on and then score runs. And if we leave that amount of guys on, I'm okay as long as we keep doing this, and that's eventually hitting with guys in position. Because like um you're gonna leave guys on eventually because, like, you're gonna run into good relievers. I mean, not every good reliever is a closer. There are some that are like really, really good, just flat out of the pen. But like for example, we're coming up on this Rocky series. Like, I can't think of one reliable pitcher they have. Uh,
Maybe Dolander, maybe.
Vodnik, is he still there?
Um,
Maybe.
maybe, but they just played the Phillies. They just played the Phillies, and I think they won like 1 or 2 of those games. The Rockies.
Okay. But still, okay, like, but still, you're the Astros and you're on a hot streak right now. I'm still saying we're on a hot streak because, like you said, we scored a ton of runs. The Athletics literally had to go to war with us, and you have to continue that streak against the Rockies. You can't go down on yourself because you lost a back and forth game. You have to be proud of what you did and continue that mindset and then say we're going to beat the Rockies. Just hope the pitching holds up this time.
And then we got to go to Seattle after that.
Yeah, and from what I hear, they like to throw at people lately.
Yep. Yeah, we get to extra innings. The Astros, who had no business bringing this game all the way back, Correa singled, made it 10-9. And then we get to our next major concern, the man, the myth, the not so legend right now, Brian Abreu. He has looked awful, to say the least. And as we were talking about on air, he wasn't throwing the fastball. He was throwing stuff out of the zone. He just did not look good out there. It's just he has continued to look bad. He has continued to look sluggish. He has continued to look just not mentally in there. I'm not sure if it's a mental thing, if it's an injury, if it's the importance of being the closer now. Because we've seen him close games before. He's done it. We know he's capable of it. But even in some of the games that he's closed before, he's it's never been like clean. So in my opinion, I think it should be closer by committee to this point. Brian King has continued to go out there, and I think he deserves a shot, the closer spot, based on how he's pitched this year. Brian King pitched 1.2 innings, only one walk, one strikeout, and he's been probably our best reliever to this point.
Yeah, Brian Abreu. Oh boy. I literally was like, we have a chance to win this game. I'm like, if Brian Abreu closes this game, I'm like, this will be a really big comeback and a lot of momentum going forward into the Rocky series. And well, obviously there's going to be the Ghost Runner, whatever, And I'm like, if he lets the game get tied, then you can't blame him right there, because that's just it's easy to score that run. Let's be honest, bunt and a sac fly. What can he do if you're the closer? And you can't expect Brian Abreu to be elite. That's just how it goes. But then,
He's been, I mean, he's been an elite setup man though.
yeah, he has. But in this case, it's him as a closer. And then, well, we get I forgot what happened. Did he hit a single or did he walk him?
I
Uh,
believe it was a walk and then a single, and then Brent Rooker came up and hit that home run.
yeah. So then we get another runner on as on first base, and it's runners at the corners now. And I'm not sure if Rooker came up then or after, but point is, it's like you're in this really bad spot, and you're just like, oh boy, Rooker has a lot of power. Don't tell me what I think is about to come out. Please let it be like a sac fly, something. And next thing you know, I know that athletics because I was watching their side of the you know
The
yeah the
broadcast.
broadcast. They were showing a lot of replays. And next thing you know, they show Rooker hitting a 3-run home run. And I'm like, please let it be a replay. And it wasn't, sadly. And I was like, oh. Well, it was a fun game while it lasted.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of like Javier. If Abreu goes out there, say in the Rocky series or whatever, and he looks terrible, then this might be time to just do closer by committee at this point until Hader gets back.
Yeah, because he's not a bad reliever. I mean, we've seen him go out there when Hader's the closer. He's actually a really good setup, man. But being a closer, it takes a whole different mindset, a whole different just approach. Like, I feel like as a closer, you got to go up there with the mindset of like, I don't fear anybody and they can't hit my stuff. Like
Maybe he
yeah,
needs to take that yellow belt off, or what, a neon yellow belt he has.
yeah. Like, so I don't know. Like, like as a closer, you got to have like this alpha male type of like energy. And I'm not saying he doesn't have that, but what I am gonna say is like again, like you said, maybe it is just issues with like his like what he uses, you know, and I feel like he has to go out there dominate with the fastball because like most closers they do have like they're known for that one pitch. And for example, you run into Mason Miller, you expect fastballs. You know, back in the day, you ran into Mariano Rivera, you expect a cutter. You know, uh, Yohan Duran, you expect that devastating splitter that goes 100 miles per hour, and that fastball too, but mainly the splitter. Um, I'm trying to think of closers today, but my brain's a little bit blank. Um, oh yeah, Andres Munoz, fastball. You know, so it is a different mindset. And maybe he's having trouble finding that one pitch that he can heavily rely on. And we all are in agreement from what I hear for the most part. He has to dominate with that fastball.
Mhm. And the thing in being in the eighth inning, hitters are they're trying to like score runs. They're going to be more aggressive at the plate, trying to score runs, so you don't have to go to extras. But then when you get to extras or that ninth spot, pitcher hitters are definitely going to be a lot more selective at what they're swinging at. And if you're out there just trying to get them guessing on your off speed stuff and it's not working, then obviously they're going to sit fastball. And Rooker sat fastball and he threw a cookie down the middle of the plate and crushed it.
Oh yeah, and you can't do that to who's definitely the best hitter on the athletics team. I mean, Rooker. Let's just say he's not what he was in his Twins days. So yeah.
So Astros, in a heartbreaking fashion, lose this series against the Athletics. You put up a lot of fight. It showed you a lot of positives on the offensive development side, and including Tatsuya Imai. Obviously, the Hunter Brown news, that's not good to hear. Hunter Brown, who was scheduled to go today versus the Rockies, it will be Cody Bolton, who we talked about earlier, who looked decent in his relief outing against the Red Sox. He will get the start today. I'm assuming it won't be too long. It'll probably be a Ryan Weiss piggyback, and we'll see what goes from there. Um, just win. It's the Colorado Rockies. You got to win the series. You can't play down to them. You got to go out there, mash the ball, and just be the better team, which you are. You know.
More importantly, we're in Coors Field, and you've been hitting the heck out of the ball lately. Like, the best offensive player they got, the top two, if I off the top of my head, is Goodman and Tovar.
Mm-hmm. Mickey
And
Moniak did okay, I
yeah,
think.
he's underrated. I'll give you that. You know. Um, but as for you, well, let's just say you had the better lineup. So you should go in full confidence, but also have the mindset of like you still have to win the division because you can't just go in there and underestimate your opponent. You know, you have to go in there, take care of business, and actually aim for the sweep. Because at the end of the day, you're still playing the Rockies, and yeah, I know I just said don't underestimate your opponent, but like you still have to take care of business. Realize this is your chance to gain some ground on your division rivals. These at the end of the day are important games. I know there are some people out there that believe like, oh, regular games aren't that important, especially early in the season. No, these games can go on to affect you, and we saw that last year. Literally, we were what 1 or 2 games away from winning the division, and if we can just go back and take 1 or 2 more of those games,
Not get swept versus the Athletics.
yeah, like I bet we take him back in a heartbeat, and we just have to demolish the Rockies and tell them, hey, you're down here and we're up here for a reason, you know? And another thing is, Bolton, he has to look at this as his chance to actually like be an everyday starter and go out there and dominate. Because right now, Eric Giddy's looming. Because like there is some good, competition always when you're in sports, right? And this is Bolton's chance to prove he belongs in the rotation, or at least stay in on the MLB roster in some way in fashion. Because he has a bad start, then maybe they call up Arrighetti and then they option him down or something like that. So especially against the Rockies, so you have to have that mindset of like, I am gonna beat these guys down. I'm gonna mow them down. At least aim for 5 strikeouts this game, and at least go 3 or 4 innings, hopefully more if Espada lets me. Like this is my time to shine.
Yeah. So the series starts off tonight. Astros face the Rockies. Cody Bolton is making the start for them, and obviously we will be back after the series to talk about it and see how it goes. So about 40 minutes here. We're probably going to end it here. As always, stay positive, go Stros, and signing out. See you.
Peace.